You know, it doesn't matter when you live, whether you live in the best of times or the worst of times, whether you live during depression or recession or times of prosperity, whether you live in times of global terrorism or global security, in war or in peace, whether you're young or whether you're old, no matter what race or nationality you might be, no matter who becomes the next president of the United States, the fact remains true that the three most important things in life are faith, family, and friends. Over the years of my ministry, I have conducted about 750 funeral services, and every time I can say that this person lived a life that focused on faith, family, and friends, I know I'm talking about a life that has been well lived. Can we say that about you and your life? Every Sunday when we come here, we talk and celebrate faith. This fall, we will offer another series of classes on parenting and family life. But this morning, I want to talk about friends, the blessing of friends, or what I call life's greatest gift. Almost 2 years ago, my daughter and her family moved from Oklahoma to Texas, and they had a lot of friends in Oklahoma, in their neighborhood and in their church. They were in Texas for almost 2 years, but their biggest frustration was how difficult it was to make new friends. Then recently, he got a job that took them back to Oklahoma, back to their old neighborhood, back to their old church, and they are very, very happy again to be with their friends. Their friends make their world. 2 weeks ago, I ran into a couple that I had known to some degree when I was in Memphis. They're from Collierville, Tennessee, and from the Collierville Christian Church. I was glad to see them here. They asked me, they said, well, how do you like Nashville? I said, I love it. Why? And they said, well, we do too, but the most difficult thing for us is being able to meet new people here and make new friends. For they too had left behind a lot of friends in West Tennessee and in the Christian church there where they belong. But I'm glad they keep coming here on Sundays, because to me, church is the best way in our society to make friends, to meet new people. And I will say to make the best lifelong friends. And in the church, the best way to do that is by getting involved in a Sunday school class or a small group or a mission project where you can begin to relate with other people and get to know them. 400 years ago, the poet John Donne wrote a poem entitled "No Man is an Island." 50 years ago, it's really hard for me to say that, but 50 years ago, in the 1960s and 70s, there were different versions of a popular song by that same title. No man is an island, no man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me, each man's grief is my own. We need one another, so I will depend, each man as my brother, each man as my friend. That poem 400 years ago and that song basically remain popular today because of the message they convey. Friendship is, without a doubt, one of life's greatest blessings. Without friends, who would choose to live? Life is all about relationships. On the other hand, one of the biggest problems that plagues the lives of many people today is that of loneliness. Loneliness causes as much unhappiness and pain and sadness and sorrow and even depression and despair as any other condition of the human situation. It's one of the greatest causes of suicide today on the part of many. And consciously or unconsciously, loneliness can cause so many of the other problems that we face in our society. Loneliness is a tragic condition of the mind and the heart, and it spares nobody in its attack. It affects the young as well as the old, the rich as well as the poor. I dare say every one of us has had at least some time in our lives and to some degree where we have experienced loneliness, and we know how that hurts. Children who play in a yard all by themselves, older children or children that go to school and get picked on and alienated by some of their insensitive peers at school. Today, the big problem is bullying, the same sort of thing. Other older teenagers, young adults, even single young adults who sit home on the weekends and wish that they had some friends that they could be with. Widows and widowers, divorcees, traveling businessmen and women, political, medical, sports, and other professional widows who spend so much time alone because their spouse is out of town, and elderly people who sit all by themselves in a rocking chair all day in some retirement home thinking that the world has forgotten about them. Yes, even in the midst of a crowd at a concert or a ball game or even right here in church, it's possible to feel lonely. But God said in the 18th verse of Genesis chapter 2, it is not good for anyone to be alone. Now, though there are many causes for the pain and suffering of loneliness, there's only one real solution, and that is friendship, having friends. Centuries ago, the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle said, without friends, no one would choose to live, even though he had everything else. Will James, one of the great philosophers of the 19th century, said, wherever you are, it's your friends who make your world. Friendship is life's greatest gift, life's greatest blessing, because it's not good for anybody to go through life alone. You cannot overemphasize or exaggerate the importance of friendship. And that's why I say if you've got some friends, do what it takes to hold on to them and to nurture it. Don't take them for granted. Don't neglect them. Don't say, let's do lunch, and then never do lunch. Don't say, let's get together. Anytime you say that, you ought to stop and say, all right, when? Don't neglect your friends. To do so is to be damaging one of the greatest blessings of your life. Why is friendship so important? In his book on ethics, Aristotle said, friendship is indispensable to human life. No one would choose to live without friends, even though he possessed all other blessings. Friendship is the bond, the glue that holds all life together. He said, what good would anything be in this world if you didn't have anybody to share it with? John Irwin wrote a little book called On Being a Christian, and in that book he said, if we are to become complete human beings, we must find acceptance, respect, and affection from others whose approval is important to us. Or to look at it another way, friendship is the initial means through which we come to know love. I think we all know that without love, we have nothing. Life would be meaningless. So it's through the gift of friendship that we become whole, healthy human beings. Yet I think one of the tragedies of our world today is that we're so busy, we got so much going on, and we're so materialistic that we have changed our philosophy of life, and that we love things and use people rather than loving people and using things. We get so wrapped up in everything that we don't take time to develop and to nurture and to be with our friends. And let me say, seeing your friends on a little mechanical device is not the same thing as being with them in person. Philosophers, theologians, artists, thinkers in all generations have emphasized the importance of friendship. But I wonder, is that more in the past than it is today? Have we, even among our artists and thinkers, begun to neglect the idea of friendship? Read your history. You were taught it in school. Plato, Aristotle, Cicero, Samuel Johnson, Will James, Rudyard Kipling, Walt Whitman, Robert Louis Stevenson. You name them, all the great thinkers and writers have emphasized the importance of friendship. Some of the greatest works of art and literature ever created were inspired by friendships. Alfred Lord Tennyson's masterpiece, In Memoriam, was written about the divine meaning of true friendship. William Gray, Elegy written in a country churchyard, was written about a friend. The Old Testament book of Proverbs in our Bible has often been described as a treatise on friendship. If you follow its wisdom, you'll know how to have the best of friends. And even Christ himself used the nature of friendship to describe the highest degree of love that anybody could have when he said, "Greater love hath no one than one who would lay down his life for his friends." I often wonder if the need and the desire for friendship in our time, I think it's been seen in many television shows and certainly in music, but I often wonder if it's still as strong today, or have we again wandered away from what's important in life? I mean, I'm one of those boomers that still records and watches all the back episodes of those TV shows that were about friendship. Friends was one of the great ones, or Seinfeld, or Cheers. And I wish some millennials would tell me what are the new ones that compete with those about friendship. But Samuel Johnson once said, "To let friendship die away by negligence or silence is certainly not wise. It is voluntarily to throw away one of the greatest comforts of the weary pilgrimage." So what am I talking about? What is a real friend? There are a lot of descriptions. I'm going to share some with you. And as I do, I want you to think about your friends. And do they fit these descriptions? What kind of friends do you have? Some of the best definitions I've read: a friend is someone who knows all about you and loves you just the same. A friend is someone who walks in when everybody else walks out. A friend is someone who is there when the good times aren't. A friend is someone who is willing to stand by you in times of trouble and will lift you up when everybody else is tearing you down. A friend is someone who's always the same wherever you meet him or her. I have a lot of friends that I developed over the years in different places, in Kentucky and in Memphis and in Florida. And what's so amazing is your true friends, true genuine friends, they're the same even if you don't see them for a year or two or three. But when you get with them, it's like we just picked up. We may look a little older, but we just picked up on where we were back when we were together all the time. A friend is someone in whom you can confide and trust, one who will never betray you or talk about you behind your back. A friend is someone who will not take advantage of you. Those are all great descriptions of friends, but without a doubt, my very favorite description of a true and genuine friend is the one Aristotle gave centuries ago when he said, "What is a friend? A single soul dwelling in two bodies." A single soul dwelling in two bodies. In his book on ethics, Aristotle talks about friendship. He talks about at least three different kinds of friendship. And as I describe those, I ask you again to think about your friends and see which category they fit in. He says there are friends for utility's sake. Each likes the other not for what they are, but for what they can do for each other. And that's the kind of friends that the prodigal son had when he went off with his inheritance in the far country. And he had all these friends about, that was until the money ran out and the good times ran out, and so did his friends. The next level, Aristotle talks about friends for pleasure's sake. Each likes the other, not for their own sake, but simply because they provide some kind of pleasure or amusement in life. But again, when the laughter stops, when the newness wears off, when the money runs out, friendship for pleasure's sake becomes history. The third type of friendship Aristotle described is what he calls perfect friendship. A relationship in which each loves the other for his virtue and goodness. A mutual respect based upon the essential character of each person. Each loves the other for what he or she is, not for what they can do for me. This is the only kind of friendship that lasts, because this kind of friendship is based on virtue and goodness. And Aristotle says, such friendships as this are rare indeed, because good men and women are few. Somebody else once said that to have one true friend in a lifetime is much, two are many, and three are hardly possible. So get your mind thinking about all your best friends and ask, how many true, genuine friends do you have? I read another description of different levels of friendship that said level 1 is acquaintances, and these are the kind of friendships you have through social events, occasional contacts. You go to a party, what do you talk about? You talk about the weather, talk about sports, you talk about the headlines, but it doesn't go much deeper than that. I call that superficial friends. Level 2 are casual friends, and these are people with whom you share some common interest or activity or concern. Like you go to the same club, or you have children in the same school, or you're both Democrats or Republicans. Casual friends may ask each other more specific questions, and they may share some of their opinions and their wishes, but that's about as deep as it goes. Level 3 is called close friendship and fellowship. This kind of friendship is based upon mutual goals in life, and such friends will work together on projects as they try to reach those same goals in life. Here you certainly would include members of the church, at least those that are more than just casual attenders, but the ones that are involved in the mission and the outreach projects of the church, or those who are deeply involved in small groups or Sunday school classes or the CWF, for example. Then there's the fourth level of friendship, and that's what the church is all about at its very best, is this friendship. That's what you call intimate friendship, or the Greek word called it koinonia, which is a word for close-knit fellowship. English says fellowship. Greek koinonia pushes it closer together rather than just being in a group together. It's caring for one another and so forth. And at this level of friendship, people are committed to each other's welfare and character development, as well as their mutual goals in life. Level 4 friends, intimate friends, feel free to disagree with each other or even admonish or correct one another because they do it in a true spirit of love. And believe me, that's becoming more and more rare in our world today, where if people don't see it my way, they want to be done with you. But true friendship can totally disagree. Believe it or not, it is possible for a Republican and a Democrat to be friends. But remember the definition, one soul in two bodies. In the Bible, Naomi and Ruth shared that deeper level of friendship. David and Jonathan shared that deeper level of friendship. In fact, in 1 Samuel it says, the soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David. That's powerful in my book. It also says that these level 3 or 4 friendships are not found, but they are built. You have to develop them. And the quality of the effort and the material that is used determines the quality of the friendship. So why is it so important that we have those deeper friendships in life rather than just a lot of social friends or casual friendships? It's important because your friendships make your world, but they also make you. Without friends, life is shallow. And you really wouldn't want to live if you don't have someone with whom you can share life on a deeper level. Not the level that says, how you doing? I'm just fine, going your way. But the one who sits down and cries with you when you're hurting, or shares your joys with you instead of being jealous. They truly celebrate your success. Unfortunately, in our modern world, we've become so busy, so materialistic, so secular that we've gotten our values backwards, and so many people today love things and use people rather than loving people and using things. Or as the great preacher Harrison Fosdick said 75 years ago, no materialism can ever equal or surpass the joy of profound personal experience and relationships. But even with that kind of a warning, strongly put so long ago, our modern world has put materialism and pleasure and superficial friendships ahead of the deeper, more abiding and lasting friendships. So, one other thought, our whole personal sense of well-being depends upon other people, not upon ourselves. You often hear Clay quote Paul Tillich, who's certainly worth quoting, one of the greatest theologians of the 20th century. Tillich once said, "Only in the continuous encounter with other persons does anybody become and remain a person. And the place of this encounter is in community." And to me, the church should be the very best of that kind of community. The importance of genuine friendship lies in that we never really know ourselves and what life is all about except through our relationship with other people. Tillich said, "We discover our own souls and thus who we are through the mirror of those who look at us." We need friends to be a whole person. That's why God said it's not good for anybody to be alone. If we're to be complete human beings, we've got to find acceptance, respect, and affection from others whose approval is important to us. And that's why without friends, life would really be pretty meaningless. So I've talked about the importance of friendship. I've talked about different levels of friendship. We could talk about different kinds of friendships, like friendships between men and women, or between men and men, or women and women, or friendships between parents and children, or teachers and students, or employers and their employees, or communities of friends. Again, I think the church is the best community of friendship. But that leaves one other friendship that I have to mention, which is the greatest, most important friendship of all, the one that will either make or break your world, and that is your friendship with Jesus Christ. Faithful disciples have sung it for centuries, "What a friend we have in Jesus." Or another hymn says, "I found a friend, oh such a friend. He loved me ere I knew him. He drew me with the cords of love, and thus he bound me to him." You know, that's really what life in the church, what Christianity is all about. It's not about creeds and doctrines and beliefs and who's got the right answers and who's got the wrong answers, but it's all about a close, intimate relationship with Jesus Christ that will transform your life, transform your world, transform your daily living. As Jesus said, the greatest friend you will ever have is one who will lay down his life for you, who will die for you. And we know that's what Jesus did for us. So let me close by asking you once again, how many friends do you have? I mean, really deep, genuine, lifelong, lasting friends. The deepest level I've been talking about. And if you've got even one, two, or three, don't ever neglect them. Don't ever take them for granted. Do everything you can to nurture and take that friendship even deeper. Remember, God said it's not good for anybody to be alone. So appreciate your friends and always look at them as one of your greatest blessings.